You snooze, you lose.
Good evening, everyone. It's July 2nd. I'll invite you all, I guess I ought to call this meeting to order. First, I'll call the meeting of the Laramie City Council to order and invite you all to join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. City Clerk, go ahead and call the roll, please.
Gabriel.
Here.
Newman.
Here.
O'Doherty.
Here.
Pierce.
Here.
Richardson.
Here.
Shumway.
Here.
Somerville.
Here.
Cumby.
Here.
Harrington.
Here.
That's 9 present and 0 absent, Your Honor.
Thank you, City Clerk. We'll move on to public comment on non-agenda items. If there's any member of the public wishing to speak to the council on any item that's not on our agenda, go ahead and come forward in the room. Seeing none, I'll close public comment and move to the Vice Mayor to set the agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Sure.
I move that the agenda be set as submitted.
Second.
Motion by Cumby, second by Richardson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. The agenda has been set. We're going to move on to proclamations, Council, and I have 3 of them this evening. So we will begin. Let me make sure I got these in the right order. We're going to begin with Dave Akers Day. Whereas July 4th, 2024 marks Dave Akers' 50th year as fireworks lead pyrotechnician. And whereas July 4th, 2024 marks the 30th year that Dave Akers has entertained the citizens of Laramie as they celebrate our nation's independence. And whereas Dave Akers of Stonebreaker Fireworks and more recently of J&M Displays took over the Fire in the Sky show back when the shows were preceded by the concerts held in War Memorial Stadium as part of the annual Jubilee Days celebration. And whereas Dave Akers has demonstrated himself to be a consummate professional pyrotechnician during each of his shows, and whereas Dave's family and friends who comprise his fireworks crew want to share their love and admiration for his dedication to his craft and to the City of Laramie's annual fireworks show. Now therefore, I, Brian Harrington, Mayor and President of the Laramie City Council, do hereby designate July 4th, 2024 as Dave Akers Day in Laramie, Wyoming, and hereby urge the citizens of Laramie to recognize Dave for his dedication towards our annual City of Laramie Fire in the Sky Independence Day celebration. And I understand maybe we have Rick Jansen here this evening. Come on forward if you'd like. We thank you for being here.
Well, I appreciate it. I'm the only one of the crew that's even close, and I live in Cheyenne now, so. But I want to thank you for your cooperation in making this happen. If we as a crew couldn't let Dave's 50th year doing this go by without recognizing him, and there are people in this room that have, I hope, seen all 30 of Dave's show in Laramie, so.
Well, yeah, thank you so much, Rick, and we'll invite you up if you'd like to take a picture with us. We'd invite you up to receive this. You can take a picture with us real quick.
Well, we can do that.
Thank you.
Hopefully we won't break a camera.
Well, you look sharp, and this door here swings open for you.
Okay.
It's our pleasure. council members, we have another proclamation. This one is for lead and copper inventory completion. Whereas on December 16th, 2021, the United States Environmental Protection Agency promulgated the revised lead and copper rule to protect public health. And whereas to comply with the new revised EPA rule, service lines connecting a water main to the interior plumbing in any building, regardless of ownership status, were to be inventoried and attributes recorded by material type to include copper, PVC, galvanized, or lead materials. Whereas the City of Laramie Water Systems and customers, 19,578 service lines required inspection over a 23-month period to meet the legal deadline for compliance of October 16, 2024. Whereas the Utility Division determined it was in the community's best interest to complete visual inspection of 100% of the prescribed water system locations built or connected to utility infrastructure prior to the year of 2000, even though doing so exceeded requirements for the federal mandate. And whereas on June 24th, 2024, the Laramie Utility Division marked a tremendous milestone by conducting the final and last service line visual inspection. Now, therefore, I, Brian Harrington, acting as mayor and president of the city council, acting on behalf of the governing body of the City of Laramie, do hereby proclaim the lead and copper field inspections with attributes recorded as complete and commend the Public Works Utility Division for steadfast commitment to thoroughly and quickly completing this significant body of work to preserve the highest standards of health and safety in the municipal drinking and potable water system. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the official seal of the city to be affixed this second day of July, 2024. And councilors, we have plenty of folks here. We have Dan Klein, Robert Peach, Justin Birch, Devin Skagen, Karen Robertson, Kyle Jordan, Nathan Burleson, Eric Japp, and Greg Bauman. And I think we have Mark Lytle on, maybe on Zoom. But we're going to clap for our city manager.
No, not yet, not yet.
Okay, wait, hold on, council. More to come.
Council, I just wanted to let you know, this is obviously monumental, 2 years of work by this team. I'm going to have Dan come up and talk to you a little bit about how they've completed that and accept the proclamation, but I did wanted to note that we'll now move to a different phase of this project, and the next phase will involve cross-checking records, meeting reporting, and other requirements of this federal EPA mandate, and preparing citizen publications. So we're far from being totally done, but this huge body of work that was the inspections is now done. 2 years of work by these folks. They set an aggressive task and deadline, and they met that deadline, and I'm just super proud of them. So thank you for letting us bring this tonight. For the community, what I'll share in terms of maybe a sneak peek is the great news is they have not located any lead in our service lines, over 15,000. So I think for Laramie, that's fantastic, and we appreciate that they've made those 15,000 inspections. And remember, there's a couple touch points at least to get every one of those done. So if you multiply that by 2 or 3 touch points with the homeowner, I think we all start to understand the enormous task that this was. So with that, I'd like to ask Dan Klein, he was the project lead, if he'd like to come up and introduce his folks and receive your proclamation.
Thank you, City Manager. Council, you're welcome to clap now. Thanks for being here, Dan.
Pardon? Well, we had it was a pretty challenging task we had, and we had support from just about every member of our utilities division. We had people from every crew help, some more than others, but everybody was involved, and it was like I say, very challenging, and we're really happy that we got it done and before our deadline. And I'm not going to lie to you, I'm glad that we did get it done. It was a long 2 years.
Well, yeah, thank you, Dan. And I know that there were some council members maybe that wanted to make some comments as well. So I'm going to just hand it around if anybody would like to on this topic. Councilor Doherty, please.
I think the public can be reassured that we don't have lead in our water. So thank you so much for finding that out.
Thank you. Vice Mayor, please.
I just want to thank the crew And I want to say, in my experience, when they came to my house, they couldn't have been more polite, more informative, and easy to deal with. And I really appreciate that and am proud of the service that you all have given the city. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Anyone else? Okay. Great. We would invite you all to join us for a photo if you're willing.
Sir, Dan, we're just going to take you up through the middle here.
All right, councilors, it is a real honor to bring up this next proclamation. And in recognition of that, City Manager, we're going to do our best to do some sort of like synchronized swimming here. So I'm going to recognize Councilor O'Doherty first.
Whereas the council's appointed city manager serves as the city's chief executive officer, responsible for the administration of municipal programs and management of day-to-day operations.
Development of the city budget to ensure that the vision of the Laramie's elected officials and residents carried out, and that the city services and municipal amenities are sustained, and the implementation of the city council's adopted goals and policies. And
Whereas City Manager Janine Jordan began serving our community on June 23rd, 2004, and was appointed as the city manager on October 2nd, 2007. And
whereas City Manager Jordan has been instrumental in many initiatives that have contributed to the prosperity of the community, including creating and chairing the Wyoming Smart Capital Network, securing $42 million in economic development grant funds to help businesses expand job opportunities for residents, and acquiring the Bath Hart Ranch property to consolidate the Dowlin Right on the Laramie River and secure the community's water supply for the future. And
whereas City Manager shows a deep commitment to staff, including promoting employee mentorship, engagement, professional development, and wellness programs, and well as ensuring the fair and equitable employment practices are implemented across the organization. And
whereas City Manager Jordan consistently demonstrates professional excellence through application of deep organizational knowledge, strategic decision-making, commitment to public communication, transparency initiatives, and informative public meetings, while also participating in numerous local government and professional organizations. And
whereas the City Council wishes to recognize City Manager Jordan's exemplary service as described in this proclamation, as well as the exceptional ethical character that is evident in both her professional and personal accomplishments.
Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Brian Harrington, acting as mayor and president of the governing body of the City of Laramie, Wyoming, do hereby recognize June 23rd, 2024 as City Manager Janine Jordan's 20th anniversary of service to the City of Laramie and its citizens, and extend a heartfelt thank you for that service on behalf of the City Council. City Manager, come on.
Thank you, I appreciate it, but what I would like to say is it's always an honor to serve Laramie, and it takes a village to run this community. So you've heard from so many other people tonight that are important and integral to making this a great place to live and providing city services that we can all rely on and that are high quality. So I've enjoyed every year and been blessed. Thank you.
Thank you, City Manager. And yeah, I would just add that your job is not without scrutiny, and I think the work that you do is particularly important, maybe because of that. And oftentimes the work you do is not seen until you're in this seat or in your staff's positions. And so I just personally want to say thank you. I think you do an exceptional job for the city and for all of the ratepayers, all of the staff that work for you. I think we're all quite fortunate to have you. So thank you. And I'm going to make you come up for a picture. Unfamiliar up here. Thank you, Jim.
Well, this one. Okay, yep. No, you can be in.
Get her in the middle.
You never get to be in the middle.
We can pull it over.
There you are.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Jamie.
Thank you. All right, thanks, everybody. Assistant City Manager, I'll invite you up for some announcements.
Honorable Mayor, City Council, there's a couple of announcements coming from my area tonight. The first one is, of course, Thursday is July 4th, which marks Freedom Has a Birthday, presented by Rocky Mountain Power. Will be from 10 to 4 in Washington Park. We've got right at 100 exhibitors, 16 food vendors, 2 stages. Laramie Municipal Band will be going from 10 to about 11:30. Lots of entertainment, bungee jump, which maybe Ruby's ready for now. We'll see. But we're super excited to get it going. There's been a lot of staff involved from Public Works, Streets, Solid Waste, Parks and Rec, you name it, they've all chipped in. And if you haven't seen the advertising by Owen Schilt, it's been pretty amazing. So I'm pretty excited about what we've been able to pull off this year and super excited about what's coming up. To follow up with Freedom Has a Birthday at 10 o'clock on the 4th of July, we plan to have Fire in the Sky presented by Wyotech, which is a fireworks show. I love being the most loved and most hated person in Laramie at that time because people that own dogs do not like me. People that don't own dogs do like me, but exciting show with Wyotech's performance. We expect it to last 22, 23 minutes, so super excited about that. The final announcement from my area is an update on the OtterSpace EV charging stations that are in the Bison parking lot. If I can remind you, we have 2 charging stations. It takes up 4 parking spaces, provides 4 charging ports. It's in the Bison lot at First and University. It opened in September 2023. We've had 300 individual charging sessions, 236 unique drivers, 31,527 minutes of charging, which is 525 hours of charging, with 5,251 kilowatt hours of energy consumed. The most important part of that is about the emission savings that it pulls off. 3.85 metric tons of carbon offset, which is the equivalent to 3,436 kilograms of greenhouse gases saved, which is the equivalent to plant saving 95 trees. So super excited about their production just over the past few months. We're excited to see what it looks like over the summer with tourism and the other things coming. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Assistant. Yeah, thank you, Assistant City Manager. Councilor Doherty.
I just want to point out the 525 hours means that people are downtown for that long, I guess, unless they get somebody to give them a ride somewhere else. So that's also a benefit. And I wanted to point out the Laramie Advisory Commission on Disabilities will be giving out earplugs and sunglasses at our booth at 4th of July.
Thank you, Counselor. Other questions, comments? All right. Thank you, Assistant City Manager. We sure appreciate you. And hearing about Outer Space, when I received that email from you, I thought, we should talk about this more. This feels like a real win. So thank you for bringing it to us.
Thank you.
All right, disclosures by council members. Any disclosures tonight, council members? Great. Recognize the Vice Mayor for approval of the consent agenda, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that the consent agenda be approved and that each specific action on the consent agenda be approved as indicated.
Second.
Motion by Cumby, second by Richardson. City Clerk, please call the roll.
Gabriel.
Yes.
Newman.
Yes.
O'Doherty.
Yes.
Pierce.
Yes.
Richardson.
Yes.
Shumway.
Yes.
Somerville.
Yes.
Cumby.
Yes.
Harrington.
Yes.
That's 9 yeses and 0 nos, Your Honor.
Thank you, City Clerk. The consent agenda has been approved. I'm going to recognize Councilor O'Doherty for item 11.
I move to award the bid for the fiscal year 25 chip seal project to Knife River, Cheyenne, Wyoming in the amount of $595,302.00, along with a contingency of $3,000 for a total amount not to exceed $598,302.00, and authorize the mayor and clerk to sign.
Second.
Motion by O'Doherty, seconded by Pierce. Director Webb, welcome.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. The fiscal year 25 chip seal project, you can see on your cover sheet there, we've listed the scopes of work, all the different streets. It's approximately 57 blocks. I say approximately because our block lengths are different all over the place, but it's about 57 city blocks. The priorities for the project, the streets you see listed, came out of our 2022 PCI study, and then also in collaboration with the street division manager, our folks in engineering with streets were able to come up with the list for the project for this year. We went out to bid, open bids on June 11th. You'll see the project came in a little over $600,000, which was a little bit over our budget. So we worked with the contractor to rescope. We actually eliminated one block of street. We'll pick that up in next year's project. Knife River was our only bidder, and after negotiations with them, staff recommends award of bid to Knife River. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to take them.
Thank you, Director Webb. Council members, any questions? Director Webb, Councilor Gabriel, please go ahead.
I was just curious, the only bidder, Brooks, is that normal? To only have one bid on an item like this?
Mayor, through you, I think last year we had two. We've kind of got two folks in town that do this work, usually Simons and Knife River. Simons was awarded last year for the project. They didn't bid this year. They've got lots of work going on right now. They're working up for the university. They're doing a project for us over on Sea Line. So it sounded like they didn't, they've got too much going on right now, is what we hear. So yeah, that's why we got the one this year.
Great. Thank you, Councilor. Other questions? Director Webb, I was curious why the contingency is so small by comparison to the overall amount.
Sure, yeah, Mayor. I mean, normally is what you see on projects, we usually do like a 10%.
Right.
Sometimes 20 if it's a pretty complicated project, but this project's pretty simple, and they'll be in and out pretty quick. I think last year they knocked out all the streets in less than a week. This is probably going to be 2 weeks. We're hoping to get it all done before school starts in mid-August and be out of there. You'll see one of the streets is 30th between Grand and Harney. That one will be a little tricky, but we're going to actually try to maintain traffic. They'll do half the street and then shift over and do the other half of the street. Hopefully be out of there in a few hours.
Great. Okay, thank you, Director Webb. That's great. Other questions, council members? All right, we'll go to the public on this. If there's any member of the public wishing to speak to the council on this item, come forward in the room or raise your hand if you are on the Zoom call. And City Clerk, it occurs to me I'm not on the Zoom call yet.
Mayor, right now we just have Patty.
Okay, great. All right, seeing no public comment, I will close that public comment period. Council members, any comments? All right, City Clerk, you can go ahead and call the roll.
Gabriel.
Yes.
Newman.
Yes.
O'Doherty.
Yes.
Pierce.
Yes.
Richardson.
Yes.
Shumway.
Yes.
Somerville.
Yes.
Gumby.
Yes.
Harrington.
Yes.
That's 9 yeses and 0 nos, Your Honor.
Thank you, City Clerk. That item has been approved. We will move on to item 12. Councilor Richardson, please.
Thank you. I move to approve change order number 1 to the professional services contract with KOA Hills Consulting for the citywide ERP implementation project in the amount of $269,450 and authorize the Administrative Services Director to sign the change order.
Second.
Motion by Richardson, seconded by Pierce. Director Wade, welcome.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, City Councilors. This is our first change order for the ERP project, and it was an expected change order. When you initially approved the budget way back in December of 2021, we did our best to estimate what project management and implementation services might cost for the first few phases. As you know, we are on the tail end of those first few phases, and we're looking into the future. This $269,450 change order allows the city to continue contracting with KOA Hills Consulting for quarter-time project management services in the human resource management phase of the project, which also includes payroll, which is one of the reasons I'm up here speaking to you about it. So Patty Russell is also a part of this project team, as well as Jen Malmborg, our finance manager. So we're all kind of collectively recommending to you that we continue with these project management services. We are also recommending to you that we contract for some hourly training and documentation and implementation assistance services for this phase. If you look at how this $269,000 some odd dollars breaks down, only $122,000 of it is for project management services. That's billed a flat fee every month for 18 months. The rest of this contract are hourly amounts that if we do not use, we can carry forward. And certainly based on where our staffing is at now, we are using less and less of these services. So what I'm hoping is that we carry forward residual from this change order and some residual from the initial phase of the project into, in particular, asset management and utility billing, so that we don't see many more change orders on this project except for project management services. And so we've talked about the current state, which is the change order before you, but I also felt I wanted to be transparent about the future in that we are expecting some future amendments, in particular for project management. But with a 5-phase project, that, in my opinion, is to be expected. At this time, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have about this change order.
Thank you, Director. Councilors, any questions? Councilor Richardson, then Councilor Doherty.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And can you just kind of remind the council and anyone who may be watching about some of the work that project management supported and helped like kind of make this process so much more smooth and efficient for the city?
Absolutely. Honorable Mayor, through you. We, as you know, we operate with a very small number of staff, and this is a major project. The project management services that we are contracting for basically allow the consultant to work with our vendor to do scheduling and basically any type of escalation just for routine matters so that staff are freed up to do the technical work necessary to implement the software. And so what we're not contracting for in any way is decision making. We're actually contracting out a lot of, in my opinion, maybe the lower level work. You know, the management, the calendar management, the follow-up. There's a lot of follow-up with these projects. Even some of the work that is less technical in the project, like importing files, so that staff really can focus on those process improvements, which we were able to implement in particular in the finance phase, and we hope to keep implementing in the future. So you basically, through use of these services, free up your staff bandwidth to focus on the important things, and you augment that model successfully, hopefully, with these consultants. And that's what we were able to achieve in that finance phase for what I know is a lot of money objectively, but for a project of this scope and size is also, in my opinion, a reasonable amount of money to spend to ensure that the community gets the most out of their resource commitment to this project, which is significant.
Thank you. Councilor Doherty, please.
I was wondering if the modules that you all with COA created to help train new staff, has that been working well when you onboard new people, or is there not enough changeover yet to see that?
Honorable Mayor, through you, we actually, because we are just out of, so we went live in February, just for the public and those of you who may not remember. So I would say certainly in July, we are comfortable from an operating standpoint. But what we're starting to see is that some of the things we've trained on, like projects and grants and even budget, tasks that folks do less frequently, people are getting a little rusty because they haven't seen it since we did end user training in November. And it has been so nice to refer people back to that learning library. I actually did that earlier this week in some year-end training, and Director Webb reached out to me and said, hey, I got what I needed on Moodle. And so we're not seeing it as much with new folks because we haven't been live long enough, but we are seeing it with existing employees, and we absolutely will see it long-term as we're onboarding.
Can I ask a
Please.
follow-up? And I heard that the county is implementing the same project, might be using COA too, or the same software. I was just wondering if any of our training modules can help them, or is it so specific to this entity? It sounds like it's pretty specific.
Through you, Mayor, I actually have offered to the county any advice and help we can provide. I think they're early in their process, and just speaking from my own experience, which is all most of us know, there's an orientation period with a project of this size where you need a little space to figure that out. And so I will reach back around to the county in another few months and offer again, because I know that maybe took 6 months for me personally to get to the point where I was ready to reach out. So, yeah.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Newman and then Councilor Pierce.
In your intro, you mentioned that you knew this was coming. I wasn't on council when this first was passed. Could you explain why it wasn't in the original one, and now there has to be an amendment change?
Through you, Mayor. I actually was not the party negotiating the first contract. What I can tell you in hindsight is what I put in the cover sheet, which was at that time, only 24 months of project management were contracted for. And the reason I say we all knew that was coming is we have never talked about this project as a 24-month project. And so just implicitly, and I believe that there was always the intention to come back for a little bit more, but because that amount was unknown, and it was unknown even how the project would proceed, it wasn't, I guess, deemed the correct thing to do at the time the contract was negotiated. And of course, if you look at it in hindsight, we weren't even sure what kind of partnership the COA Hills partnership would be. Would it even be effective? Would we get a good value for it? Those questions are answered now. We're recommending to you that we do continue that partnership, which is really what this act symbolizes.
Please follow up.
Do you think there will be another change order in the future?
Through you, Mayor, like I said, Councilmember Newman, I expect some additional change orders for project management services in the future, yes, because we have 2 more phases, and what we're asking you to amend for this evening is project management for the human resource management phase. Before us, we have enterprise asset management and utility billing. Both of those implementations should be year to 15 months long, and I would suspect quarter-time project management is what we would recommend to you to contract for there as well. So finance would have been the only phase where we had half-time project management. The rest of the phases will be quarter-time. And just for your information, from a staff effort standpoint, we just went over the staff effort slides for human resource management. Total effort for that project is around 2,000 hours. Total effort for the finance project was around 8,000 hours. So quarter time, half time. Yeah. If that helps you understand why there's a difference.
Thank you. Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Pierce, please.
Yeah, thanks. Jenna, I'm wondering if, and maybe our person from our HR manager knows, is there any professional development available for staff in this module or with this piece, or no? And what I mean by professional development, you know, for different departments, you know, within the city, is that part of it or not?
So Honorable Mayor, through you, Councilmember Pierce, that is actually not what this product is at all. It's really part of that whole ERP suite that is about running the organization's business. So it's about recruiting, position changes, really managing the work of human resources. You could certainly use our learning management system to put out various professional development opportunities that HR might create in-house.
Great, thanks.
Thank you, Counselor. Other questions, council members? All right. Thank you, Director Wade. Take public comment at this time. If there's any member of the public wishing to speak to the council, go ahead and come forward in the room, or raise your hand if you are on Zoom. Welcome.
Thank you. Paul Montoya, 1974 Truman Street. I have a number of questions. This is a significant change order. This is over $250,000. And you may not be able to answer these in this meeting, but the questions I ask are, the approved contract was $944,000 plus dollars. Was this not included in that contract? I take it that this is a change order, so I believe it's in addition. So that takes our contract up to $1.25 million. The money for this, the change order, will that come from the approved ERP budget, be taken from that you see on page 2? Or is this going to come out of general funds? Where's the money coming from for this change order? And then my last question is, if you don't approve this, how would this affect the process of implementing ERP? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Montoya. As you know, we don't take questions, or we don't engage in a question and answer during public comment, but your questions are noted. Any other members of the public wish to speak to the council during this public comment period? Seeing none, I'm going to close public comment. Back to the council for any comments before the vote. Please, Councilor Doherty.
I want to point out to Mr. Montoya and the public that the budget is right there, and the funding sources are right there in the cover sheet. And so was the explanation of why this change order happened. Thanks.
Appreciate that, Councilor Doherty. Any other comments by the council? Yeah, Councilor Newman, please.
If I understand his first question, it was the same one that I asked, and it was an addition. This is an addition to the original contract. So that question was answered.
Thank you, Councilor. Any other comments? Yeah, Councilor Richardson, please.
I just want to note that I appreciate that the city went into only a short-term contract to begin with and tested the waters prior to going into a full, even knowing that more years were needed. I think that was smart to test the waters before now moving forward with an additional request, and so I appreciate that you kind of stair-stepped your way into it.
Thank you, Councilor Richardson. Councilor Newman, second time.
Director Wade, if you would answer his third question for us, because it is a good question, I guess. What would happen if we voted no? How would this interrupt the ERP system?
Honorable Mayor,
please.
Is it okay if I respond to that question?
Yeah, of course it is.
So what you would get, we would need to assess whether the current staffing in finance, because we're augmenting staffing through these services to try to not grow staffing. We would need to assess whether we could complete the project in the amount of time that we're currently forecasting with the staff that we have. We would also offer a lower level of implementation services, which might mean less employee buy-in, because we would not have assistance with the training and the learning management library. And when you're implementing software and making decisions, you know, unfortunately, if you're faced with the decision of are you going to make sure that the investment of the software functions correctly, or are you going to invest in training, the answer is you're going to first and foremost take care of those base needs of the software software functionality. And so what you see is that you could end up getting lower return on that investment because you're not investing in training. And so from our perspective, these are dollars well spent, especially because the training dollars and the implementation services are billed as incurred, not for a flat dollar amount. Project management services, again, are different. And I want to make sure you understand that difference and how those costs are billed.
Thank you, Counselor. All right, other questions, council members? Okay, thank you, Director Wade. All right, City Clerk, please call the roll.
Gabriel.
Yes.
O'Doherty.
Yes.
Richardson.
Yes.
Somerville.
Yes.
Newman.
Yes.
Pierce.
Yes.
Shumway.
Yes.
Cumby.
Yes.
Harrington.
Yes.
That's 9 yeses and 0 nos, Your Honor.
Thank you, City Clerk. That item has been approved. We will move on to item 13. Vice Mayor Cumby.
I move to approve change order number 1 to the professional services contract with KOA Hills Consulting.
No problem.
Oh, wrong one. So sorry.
It's like we're trying to juggle 40 documents at a time.
I know,
Vice Mayor.
too many windows.
It happens.
I move the council approve the First Amendment to the Memorandum of Understanding between the City of Laramie, Wyoming, and the Board of Commissioners for the County of Albany, Wyoming, for ambulance services, and authorize the mayor and city clerk to sign, and to amend the 2024-2025 fiscal year budget.
Second.
All right, motion by Vice Mayor Cumby, second by Councilor Pierce. Fire Chief Johnson, welcome.
Honorable Mayor, members of council, we entered into a memorandum of understanding with the county in January of 2022. In July of that same year, we did our next agreement, and the most recent agreement started in fiscal year 24, and it lasts a year. Our intent was to come before you on this fiscal year with an agreement that was based on a formula and not a fixed cost. And but in order to get all of our data points right, we were wanting to finish up our study. You received the presentation of that last week. What's before you tonight is an amendment to the last year's agreement to extend that agreement for the same fiscal component for this year, with the goal of once again approaching you next year with a new agreement. So I stand for questions.
Thank you, Chief. Councilors, any questions? Councilor Gabriel, please.
Chief, I was just curious, is there, just looking at this, I was wondering, in the future, the possibility of billing per call? Is that a possibility? All right, here's what it costs to deliver service.
Honorable Mayor, Councilor Gabriel, our billing is run in our current agreement with IMH is run through IMH, and bills are put out per call. The study showed the offset of the cost of doing EMS services with the revenues that we receive. So the county has joined in with us to help sustain our ambulance services throughout all of Albany County. So that's happening right now. As far as us being able to adjust the bill, that's all run through like Medicare rates and that kind of stuff. So,
thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Other questions, council members? Okay, seeing none, we'll go to the public. If there's any member of the public wishing to speak to this item, come forward in the room or raise your hand on the Zoom call. Seeing none, I'll close public comment. Back to the council before the vote. All right, I just want to acknowledge the partnership between the city and the county, and thank the commissioners for continuing to work with us on shoring up EMS and fire services in the county. EMS probably specifically, but.
Agreed.
All right, City Clerk, please call the roll.
Shumway.
Yes.
Pierce.
Yes.
Newman.
Yes.
Gabriel.
Yes.
O'Doherty.
Yes.
Richardson.
Yes.
Somerville.
Yes.
Cumby.
Yes.
Harrington.
Yes.
That's 9 yeses and 0 nos, Your Honor.
Thank you, City Clerk. That item has been approved. We'll move on to item 14. Councilmember Gabriel.
Thank you, Mayor. I would move that the council approve the operational agreement between the City of Laramie and Albany County Fire District Number 1, beginning July 1st of '24, and authorize the mayor and clerk to sign.
Second.
Motion by Gabriel, seconded by Pierce. Fire Chief Johnson.
Honorable Mayor, members of council, we've had a decades-old agreement with Albany County Fire District Number 1. It goes back a long, long time. I believe we've been in agreements with them through the years, about 70 years now, something like that. So this is updating our agreement from last year. Those changes are non-substantive changes and some clerical formatting. There were some typos, and so we got them cleaned up. We had some policy language in the old agreement, operational agreement, and that was put there because the district had lacked some operational policies that I felt were important. They've adopted those policies, so they really don't belong in the contract anymore or the agreement. So we removed social media policy, those type of things. The fee structure, this is one we did. One of the goals we had was to go from fixed cost to some formula. We studied the revenues coming into the district. We looked at, I worked with the district for many years now, and we've been at the 121,000 for a few years in total. We needed to have a cost adjustment. We looked at about 10% cost adjustment and matched that into a percentage of the mill levy that they collect. Knowing that the legislative term, there's been some property tax changes, there's a little uncomfortable feeling about what that means for the future. So we went with the 19%. Before we look at going from 121 to 134,693, and but we put some caps in there in case there's some weird things happen with the revenues, and both low and high caps. So anyway, before you tonight is the updated agreement. I also wanted to have language added. When we go out on a rural fire, we often join up with a lot of crews that, we don't have their training records and stuff, so I thought it was important that we memorialize in this agreement that their certification standard, we know ours, we just want to make sure we're I don't want our guys to assume and put a person in a bad situation. So we put they'll meet certification standards for the type of event they're responding to. Other than that, it's the same agreement we've had for many years. I stand for questions.
Thank you, Chief. Questions, councilors? Councilor Doherty, please.
I was trying to find a map of District 1. Is it the whole Albany County outside the city limits, or is it like the different firehouses?
Honorable Mayor, Councilor Doherty, it's District 1 is roughly about Rock River. It doesn't include the city of Rock River, but it's right in there, and then south to the state line, and then county to county.
Thank you, Councilor. Any other questions, council members? Okay. Thank you, Chief. We'll go to the public on this item. If there's any member of the public wishing to speak to the council on this agreement, please come forward in the room or raise your hand on the Zoom call. Seeing none, I'm going to close public comment. Back to the council before the vote, please. Vice Mayor and then Councilor Newman.
Chief Johnson, I just want to say I really appreciate the proactive approach you and staff have taken to kind of promote accountability among all of the contributing partners. I've found your reports very helpful in following over the past couple years, and I just appreciate the depth that you've gone to get to the root of some of the issues, to identify those, and to begin to address those. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Councilor Newman.
Ditto. It's really good to hear that you are looking out for our firemen too, and putting that in so they have to follow those. And if you would pass on that, your crew is amazing. So keep it up.
Thank you.
Thank you, council member. Other comments, councilors? All right. City Clerk, I will have you call the roll, please.
Gabriel.
Yes.
Newman.
Yes.
O'Doherty.
Yes.
Pierce.
Yes.
Richardson.
Yes.
Shumway.
Yes.
Somerville.
Yes.
Crombie.
Yes.
Harrington.
Yes.
That's 9 yeses and 0 noes, Your Honor.
Thank you, City Clerk. That item has been approved. We will move on to public comment on non-agenda items. If a member of the public wishes to speak to the council on an item that is not on our agenda this evening, they can come forward in the room or raise their hand on the Zoom call. Seeing none, I will close public comment. Council members, any future work session topics you would like the council to consider? Always good news when this part's quiet. The list is long. All right. Councilor Pierce, please, for item 17.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that we adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Pierce, second by Richardson. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. Council members, we are adjourned. Thank you.